Hi, welcome to Alaskan in the Philippines, currently in Hue Hin, Thailand. Today I thought I'd kind of think back about my winter here in Thailand in the Asia actually. This is the first winter I've ever spent a whole winter here without seeing snow or cold weather, and it's kind of been nice. I really kind of fell right into it. Coming from Alaska originally, I thought I'd succumb to the heat. I thought the heat would really going to get me down. And it's not to be trifled with, don't get me wrong. I still hide from it. I don't go out in the dead of the sun unless I have a little ways to go. If I don't have to go far, I can walk to the mall in the middle of the afternoon usually. But if I have to go out and be out for any extended period of time, I have to cover up a hat and a long sleeve shirt because my skin will cook pretty quickly. Same with the beach. I don't walk down on the beach like in the middle of the hot afternoon. Everybody's going to the beach in the afternoon, and I'm leaving in this morning before it gets hot. And a lot of people, they go down and they roast, and I can't do that. But yeah, for me, the so far it's been great. I like it. I know winter's probably about up in the most of the U.S. by now, huh? March, starting late March and April, it's kind of springtime there. Back home in Alaska, though, we got another couple of months of winters. It's getting long days. The sunshine's getting long. Come April, it'll be light till midnight where I was living usually. And then it gets even later. It don't set after a while. In June's the longest days. But yeah, right now back in Alaska, it's still cold, below zero, and the women are out on the ice trying to fish for pike. They like to catch pikes, northern pike, you guys would call them, and they get big ones like as long as your leg and stuff. But they jig a spoon and they just sit on the ice all day. It's big. The whole families will go out and do it. Little kids and everything. Even it's cold, they'll sit out there and do it all day. And they catch the pike and they'll split them and dry them. And even though it's freezing weather, they'll have them hanging on racks above their house, and on their doors and in their porches and stuff, and little smokehouses and stuff, and they freeze dry. And it takes about a month or so, but they do dry. And those dried fish have a purpose. They're kind of the hunting food. They're usually dipped in seal oil, just dried, not salted or anything. And they're dipped in seal oil and eaten. Generally, they're ready by the time the birds come, the geese and the ducks and the swans in the spring, because was an important meat source for them too. So they hunt the geese as they come, and that usually happens in April. So it works out just as the pike are done drying, the men can go hunt and they can bring their dried pikes with them. They dry salmon, of course, in the summer, and they dry everything actually. But yeah, that's what they're doing this time of year. The ice is real thick. At this time of year back in Alaska, I would be buying antler. That's what I used to do, buy moose antler. I'd pay by the pound. People would go out and find the shed antler. The moose shed their antlers. So one good moose antler, a side of a moose antler, if it was some big ones are 30 pounds just for one side. I'd pay $10 a pound. That's $300 for that one side. And if he has both, that's $600 or more. It's good money. The natives, locals go out and make, hundreds in one day. So they can go out and make thousands in one day. They come right back home in the evening, and I'd buy it up, and I would ship it out. I'd have to sled it. There was no road. I couldn't get out on a road. It was all blown in. So I had to use sleds and hire a buddy of mine, and we'd load up sleds antler and go up and palletize them, and I'd ship those out to buyers and stuff in the lower 48. And then I also had an Amazon business where I carved moose antler dog chew toys, and I sold them on Amazon, packaged them, shipped them out through the mail, and let Amazon sell them for me, and they're fulfilled by Amazon. I didn't have nothing to do with it, so that's what I did for a living. I had a house. I lived right on the Yukon River, right on the bank, real close. Everything was right on the beach. I get my wood there, and I burned wood to stay warm. I had an oil-fired stove too. It was a Toyo stove. It's kind of an efficient stove. They're good stoves, pretty popular now. But yeah, and I burned wood. I didn't have running water in the house. In the summer, I could hook up running water, but in the winter, it was too cold. Running water is kind of a luxury in rural Alaska. Not a lot of people have it. It's hard to keep from freezing because it's so cold and everything's exposed. And you bury it, it still freezes, and you got to have heat trace tapes and all that. It's expensive, the power to run it, you know. So it's, I had a well I could get water from, and it had electric pump, and it was great water. And I had a steam bath I actually used to steam. That's what I stayed clean with. I never had a shower. I'd go years without a shower or a bath. I would take a steam bath, but that was actually cleaner than you get in a bathtub. You sweat. You go in several times, and they get them hot. You know, it's a low building where it's got a 55-gallon drum with rocks stacked on it. And you load that 55-gallon drum full of wood and fire it up, and it's what the Eskimos. Everyone's got one there usually. That's how everybody stays clean at 40 below, 20 below zero. It's hard to take a bath. A lot don't have running water, so they have these steam baths, and then they bring water in. There's a big pan that heats water there, so they have hot water and then the hot rocks, and they have a dipper and dip and pour water on the hot rocks and sweat, and it gets hot, and I ain't kidding. They go in at 350 degrees I've seen. Generally it's between 250, around 250 we go in. That barrel's red hot, the rocks are red hot, and you sit right on the floor, you crawl in and lay real low, man. And they splash that, and that steam comes down and just cooks you. I see a lot of the old steam guys, they got patterns on their skin from cooking from the steam bath. They actually cooked patterns of their veins. I probably got a few somewhere. If I look later, I'll have them, because I burned really bad too. It's hot, but then after you're done sweating, you know, then you wash up with, you know, you have a basin of water, and you take warm water and mix it with cold. And you wash right up in the room right there. And that's how we stay clean. You come out, you're squeaky clean. You're squeakier clean than you are in a shower. I notice it, you know, if you take a shower, you really don't get clean. It just kind of get that soapy feeling and stuff. But you take a steam bath, it gets all the oil off your skin and everything. So yeah, that's what I had. I had a pretty simple life back there. And, you know, and then I had to deal with deep snow and thick ice. I'd always had to keep a net to feed my dogs. I had a couple of dogs. They had kept the bears away in the summertime. In the summertime, I had to keep a gun by the door to keep the bears, in case the bears or the moose, they come into the yard and they get acting nasty too, even the moose. So I always had to kind of keep a gun handy in case something came in. And it happened every now and then. A bear would wander, a big mean moose would come through. So yeah, now here I am in Asia, where everything's pretty easy. You know, I don't have to do much. Food, just walk down. I don't have to go hunt for it, you know, like we used to have to get moose and salmon. I kept my net under the ice all winter long too. So about this time of year in Alaska, I would be pulling in fish, a lot of fish, big she fish, like about some of them 30, 40, 50 pound she fish, big giant. They look like a tarpon. I'd get 12 or 15 in one check every day, and my short net under the ice, it would be under the ice. I'd just pull it up this way with a rope, and then I'd pull it with the rope, and the net would go back under the ice like this. Everybody does it. And I was usually kept one year round. A lot of people would be done by now, but I'd be catching those big she fish. I'd get a whole sled load, and I'd drive down to the gas station and just dump them all out in the snow, and anybody could take them. So it kind of fed the village, and go do it every day. So that was my daily routine. Check my net, chopping a lot of ice, chopping a lot of wood to stay warm. Always had to chop wood every day. Keep up with what I burned yesterday. Burn it 24 hours a day for about 9 months. You know, it's a lot of wood, an unbelievable amount of wood you had to chop. And you don't want to run out. You know, I had a backup oil stove, but the stove oil was $10 a gallon there. So was gas. Bad. So anyway, after I retired, I kind of wanted to get out. I had to get out. I kind of couldn't afford to live there. And if I stopped working, my retirement wouldn't be enough, you know. So I had to find a place where I could make it. And of course, a warm life would be much easier than ice and snow and chopping wood. So I decided to set my sights on Asia. And originally I was planning the Philippines. I did go to the Philippines many times, you know, checked it out, did my research, ended up trying to move there for 2 months, and I kind of didn't like my situation where I was. It was nowhere to walk, no nightlife. It was kind of out in the boonies, and I just wasn't happy there. So I thought I'd make a border run to Thailand. Came over to Hue Hin, Landed in Bangkok, of course, took a bus down to Hue Hin, and I've been here ever since, over 6 months now, I think, something like that. I spent the winter here from September. I've been here, since September 15th. I like it. I kind of like it. It's easy life. I can just walk to get my food. Everything's within walking distance. Nice beach right here. No actually have to do any physical work. I'm living fairly comfortably. I don't have a rich lifestyle or nothing like that. I'm not actually doing anything that costs money except walking and eating. That's about my only exercising. And just that's enough for me. I couldn't even walk back in Alaska. The snow is so deep, you were actually bound to be on a trail or a road. If you left the trail or road, you couldn't walk. And it was even hard on the road because of the snow. So yeah, this walking is nice. I can get out, get exercise, get some daylight. I noticed the daylight in Alaska for the past couple of years, the daylight gets, and it don't get light till like 11:30 in the morning, and then it gets dark around 3:30 or 4 again. The sun sets in the wintertime, and you notice that vitamin D deficiency, and everybody gets grouchy around January. I used to work in an office for a little while. I was head mechanic, and I had an office in a city building. And they see the people that were in the office all the time. They would snap at each other about that time of year. Everybody was in a grouchy mood from the lack of daylight. I started taking vitamin D. I was always outdoors anyway, though, so if you were outdoors all the time, it didn't affect you as bad, but it still would get you. I started taking 5,000 IUs of vitamin D, and that helped considerably. I felt much better after taking those, and I thought, wow, I should take another one. So I started taking 10,000 IUs of vitamin D3. And man, I was walking around whistling zippity-doo-dah. I felt great compared to everybody else that was walking around. Kind of, you could tell they were in their pissed off mood, So remember that vitamin D. So that's helped my mood here. When I wake up in Alaska, and it would be a stormy day, and a rainy day. We'd have rain for 2 months sometimes, just every day, foggy, rainy, foggy, drizzly, rainy, foggy, or snow storms every week, a bad storm every week. Come in and just throw in 3 feet of snow and blow everything into giant drifts and ice up everything. And then a week later, do it all again, So this is quite nice, actually. There haven't been any typhoons or bad storms or anything. The only thing I can complain about, like I said in the recent video, is the air quality has gone from that smoky season that's everywhere in Thailand and everywhere in most of Asia, from what I understand. But yeah, it's actually cleared up today. Yesterday it cleared up much better. It's at moderate, right? It was moderate yesterday. It's still got a little bit, but it did improve considerably, and it's enough now to where I ain't really worried about it so bad. It was kind of ugly there for a day or two, but I think there were some forest fires along with the natural farmer burning as well. So I think it's compounded and made it pretty bad here for a couple of days. But it did improve, and hopefully if it don't get worse again, I'm fine with that. So yeah, my life has improved greatly since I moved here to Thailand. As far as ease of feeding myself, I used to have to cook all my own food, which I enjoyed, though. I do like to cook. I made everything. I made my own sausages, bratwurst, summer sausages, ground my own moose, all my own burger. I cut my own T-bone steaks, had all the salmon I could eat. All the steak cut moose is really good. It makes beef, puts it to shame. Make you slap a cow, really, if you try it. It's really good. So yeah, I had an unlimited amount of free moose meat. I had steaks, whatever I wanted to cut. Had free unlimited amount of salmon, if I put it away at the right time. So that was always, and then fresh whitefish and sheefish all winter long. So I wasn't in the real crab area. Although I used to order boxes of king crab from Nome. I used to get for $200. I used to get a 20-pound box of king crab, man. It was a big box. It'd last me all winter. I can't get those no more. And yeah, I fished them a little bit once, but not much. Well, I've rambled on quite a bit. I just wanted to point out some comparisons of what I used to have, let you guys see how much my life has actually improved. And I'd be kind of stupid to bail out on this. things could get a lot worse and I'd still be a lot better than where I came from. Although it was a great life at the time and I was a young man, I enjoyed every bit of it. Alaska was just an adventure. I had to buckle up and hold on. It just took me along for a ride, and the most amazing life of you could probably imagine. It was something real impressive for me anyway at the time. Well, I think I've rambled on enough. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.